introduction, Bruno. I'm happy to be here to help out and pass information along to hopefully make sure it's a seamless transition from student to candidate to applicant to employee within Los Alamos National Laboratory. So this presentation is created for the external candidate. So I'm going to go ahead and share my screen with you now so you can see what I'm chatting about. Okay, is my screen visible to everyone? Awesome, thank you. All right, so this is the hiring external guidance for candidates. And this was created by a group of us recruiters and myself and my management to make sure that we can interact with the community and let the community know exactly what it is that we're looking for when it comes to a resume and a cover letter, because we understand that our cover letter, it doesn't conform to the traditional cover letter format that everyone has been trained and taught about. So let's go ahead and jump into it. All right, so here is the agenda. Should you apply? Our best practices for resumes, Lanl specific cover letters, Los Alamos National Laboratory, and preparing for the interview. I will cover a bit of that, and how to apply, navigating our system, our ATS, applicant tracking system, and a little bit of an effective use of a LinkedIn profile to ensure that not just Los Alamos National Laboratory is looking at you, but other employment agencies that is out there that use LinkedIn, can see you and make sure that you get the broadest exposure possible. Because we all know LinkedIn is our brand. And if you don't brand yourself properly, you brand yourself out of a job. All right, so without further ado, here we go. So before we begin the hiring process, we all need to know that it's very competitive. And some of us here in this presentation may have applied for a job in the past, but you're going to have some aha moments where you see that the minimum requirements that we look for and desired skills are what we're focusing on. So you need to make sure that your resume is speaking to those as far as your strengths and other areas are concerned. Now, when you do apply, right, we know that a lot of people are applying, and let's say we all apply for a position. What you don't see behind the curtain, so to speak, is the candidate pool. Who are you competing for with that job? So you may be the best qualified candidate, but are you the most qualified candidate for that position in that applicant pool? And that's what we're looking for. We're looking for the best of those individuals. Now, with that being said, are you articulating properly those qualifying skills that we're seeking that we specifically wrote in that job ad? That is what you must focus on. So yes, we understand that, yeah, you can be the best qualified candidate in the applicant pool, but still may not get selected for 2, 3, even 4 or 5 jobs down the road, because there may be something that you're missing within those criteria that we're looking for. Yes, you meet all the qualifications as far as the minimum requirements and desired skills are the minimum requirements are concerned, but then there is someone else that do have the same experiences with you in education, but then they have a lot more of the desired skills coming through the door. Okay, so let's go and get into this a little bit more so we can increase your chances of being selected as the employee to secure an interview for the position. Okay, so you're asking yourself, really, should I apply now? It's the big monstrosity in northern New Mexico, Los Alamos National Laboratory, and everyone is trying to get here. Are you really interested in this position, or are you just applying just because? All right, and can you reasonably respond to each of those minimum requirements that we have listed in the job ad, right? And provide us with specific experiences or examples inside your resume, whether or not you use, a standard chronological style resume, or you have a mixture of hybrid of those other resumes that are out there. So many employers, us included, require that you meet all those minimum requirements, like I mentioned before, and you have to speak to them. Now, with what I said previously on the previous page, the desired skills are what separates and segregates everyone else as far as, are you the best qualified candidate for that position? And normally, you meet all the minimum requirements. Like I mentioned, you may not get selected because someone else have 50, 60, or even 75% for all of the desired skills. Desired skills are not what we're grading you on. And some of you may have that experience. Well, I meet all the minimum requirements, but I was still not selected for a position here at the laboratory. With that being said, did you look and address in your resume cover letter, and we'll get to that down the road, those desired skills. So just gonna have to put this little blurb out there that you see down at the bottom. We are a government contractor and we follow the OFCC hiring guidelines. So what that pretty much says, Los Alamos is looking for the individuals based on those criteria and qualifications, not based on gender or color of your skin or what have you, your ethnic background. Okay, here are 6 key, and this is a chronological style resume. And here are 6 key areas that we typically look for in a resume. And when I train the technical recruiters and we train our hiring managers who sit on these hiring committees to make a decision, this is also what they look for. And all the recruiters do this. Some people may think that we have a machine that reads our resumes up here. We do not have a machine that reads our resumes, because some of our positions, we ask that you write out certain things because we're looking for those grammatical errors. And that's a part of separating everyone from, the top of the cream of the crop, whatever you want to call it. So here it is, your name and contact information. Believe it or not, some people do leave this out, right? And at a minimum, you need your first and last name, your state, right? Not necessarily a zip code, a phone number, and an email address. Yes, although we did receive the email with your resume or the application, some people do leave that out when they create their profile as well, in addition to leaving it out off the resume. Your professional summary, simply that's what it is, your professional summary. I want to know about your professional background. Yes, we all understand we have unique upbringings and communities that we come from, but I want to know about your professional background. What are those experiences in your background that shaped who you are professionally to have those skills, experience, and certifications that we are looking for? Your professional summary is a blurb. So here it is. In industry standards, recruiters typically take about 7 to 9 seconds to go through a resume. And if that area in the professional summary doesn't really add up to what we're looking for, it doesn't encourage us to dig down deeper into it. So you need to make sure you have qualitative and quantitative data. And you're going to hear me use those 2 words a lot because it means a lot to us here. Then your highlights. What are those highlights? What are those competencies that we're looking for? A lot of people or a lot of applicants that we see like to put a lot of those soft skills on there. Unless you're going into a position, let's say recruiter, yeah, then you would use a lot of those soft skills or something that deals with communication, office jobs. We would encourage you to put a lot of soft skills on there. If you're going for some sort of a technical job, those highlights are what you need to hit. Do you have a PMP certification, a Lean Six Sigma, a Scrum Master? Do you have any languages for computers, Linux, Unix, Red Hat, and so on and so forth? And, do you know how to use a drill press? Do you know how to use a beta and gamma radiation detection machine? Those are things that we want to know about as far as the highlights if you're going for a technical job. So a lot of people usually put fast learner. I think that one has been used a whole lot. So if you do have that on your resume, I would encourage you not to use it any longer and put a lot of those technical skills like hand tools and so on and so forth. Because what that demonstrates is that you know how to use them, you have the knowledge. In addition to that, some jobs may call for the dexterity of you manipulating certain items with your extremities, limbs, hands, and whatever foot. Then we go down into your work history. What is that position title that you held and for who, right? Because a project manager at Alpha Enterprise is different from a project manager at a construction company. We want to know what it is. So a little blurb about that would be great, and the location and the time as far as month and year. We don't need the exact date, but just the month and years will suffice for how long you've worked there, because we're trying to glean or get information to say, hey, you've worked as a project manager at this organization for XYZ amount of time, and you have XYZ amount of experience. That's where that work history comes in. So for each one of those, you make sure you annotate and properly document those information in there. Then we drop down to the education as number 5. Speaks for itself, so I can't beat up on that one too much. And if you're like a PhD student or before you're a PhD student and you do publish something in high school, or you publish something in college for your undergraduate degree, any awards or recognition, that goes to what we may be looking for, that may put you over the top as well. So if you have any of those experiences, don't leave it out. We hired a gentleman recently purely based off his recreational path. He's a great welder, and he has a side business where he do a lot of welding, and everything he lists up in his experience were all from, the service industry where he's doing customer service. And we didn't hire him because of his customer service. We hire him because of that additional information. So sometimes if you think about it logically, your additional information may get you that position or get you that interview as well. Okay. Moving right along. So let's go ahead and chat now about tailoring specifically to those jobs. I was hinting on that a little bit earlier with the professional summary. So let's go ahead and dive deep down into it. So what you want to do is when you do that professional summary, at least a minimum of 4 lines. You don't want to go too far into it because then it'll look like more than a summary. Excuse me. And that professional summary is what it is. It's speaking about your professional history. A DoD, let's say someone here is in the military, held a DoD certification for the Army, or DoD top secret clearance for the Army for 6 years with no infractions, experienced in diesel engine mechanic with certifications and awards, and looking to expand my professional career in this XYZ position. Okay, so that's what you want to do. You want to make sure that you tailor it specifically for the job you're applying for. Now, sometimes we find that hard to do. So what you want to do is you want to split your screen into 2, and you want to have the job ad open, and you want to have your resume on the other side of that screen. Sometimes it's helpful when we do that because it helps us visualize and stay on topic, on task as what it is that we're covering, to make sure that we're speaking specifically to that job. Or you can have it open-ended and generic and use that as your master resume, where you can just go ahead and tailor stuff down or pare down. Okay, so once again, ensure those summaries of skills and the key competencies match the language used in the job posting. It's quick and easy to remove and add those highlights, and that's exactly what those are. Those are highlights calling out specific certifications that not everyone have. Microsoft Excel, and if you know how to use Excel to do a scatter chart, a scatter form, that would be great as well, to PDF, documents, or do you know how to use the entire Microsoft suite? Those are all selling points, because once we progress in our careers, we're going to have to communicate with, leadership, and we're going to have to communicate with our junior team members that work with us or work for us or report to us. So you need to make sure that you highlight those, and those sometimes will help you when you're in the organization towards promotion, or highlight you and put you in a different light as far as, hey, this person does match exactly well with the position. Now, I was talking about your work experiences earlier on the previous slide that they need to match. So there's several work experience from company A and company B that you can pull certain things and highlight, accentuate, whatever you want to do or call it, to say, hey, I have this specific skill, and you don't want to call to the top certain areas or tool or technology that you use that do not relate primarily to what it is that you're trying to do, which is get that position. So you want to highlight those information that's coming out there. So tailoring those background experience is very, very important, as you can see on the screen. At the end of this presentation, I'm going to share this with Bruno and make sure that if anyone needs a copy of this, he can send it out to everyone that's here, and you can further reinforce this information once again. Any questions so far? Nope. Okay. All right, moving along. So here it is. You are that brand, and you're here to sell, sell, sell. All right. What are you selling? You're selling your skills, your abilities, certification, experience. That's what you're selling, right? So how do you do that? The quality of what it is that you do is important. So here's an example. Let's say we can use this for an auditing position or an accounting position. So sometimes you just, we put those bullets on there just to fill the page to make it look like, yes, I have a lot of great experience, but you may have a lot of great experience, but you're not expressing it or communicating that clear and concisely to paint a picture in the reader's mind's eyes to say, hey, this is what I bring to the table, and I am the best qualified candidate for this position. So this one says conduct audits and implement processes and improvements. Okay, here it is. If I see this on a resume, I'm going to take it to a matter of fact and say, hey, this person has been at this job for 5 years and only done that once. There's no quantitative information to say, hey, I've done, these audits several times. I've implemented processes that result in a $540,000 savings and increase the customer service ratings. And then you were awarded, an award because now you're saving the organization money. And if something like that happens, you definitely want to highlight that because it demonstrates to us that you are a team player, you're thinking outside the box, and you're definitely bringing impact to the organization that you're working for. And will that impact translate over to us? Highly, possibly, likely, yes, maybe. And that is what you use to separate and segregate yourself from everyone else to get that interview. So sell, sell, sell. All right. What happened here? Go away. Okay, there we go. Additional tips. So ensure the summary of skills, right? The executive summary, those words matches the phrases in the job. That's just a review, right? And the history of your work experience, like I mentioned. If the position calls for, and a lot of our positions here call for U.S. citizenship, there's ways that you can do that without saying U.S. citizenship, blurting it out on the document. So one example, let's say you were in the military, and we know that for those individuals who serve in the military, for them to have a top secret clearance, they have to be a U.S. citizen. All right, and that's one way you can say held a DoD top secret clearance, or held a public trust from the state of New Mexico for X, Y, and Z position with no security infractions. That's another way of saying that as well. Now, if you're applying for an internship or anything like that, you definitely want to make sure that you highlight your GPA. A lot of the positions here, undergraduate position is a 3.0, the cutoff range that we look for to make the grade, so to speak, for someone to get an internship with us. And then for graduate, it's 3.2. So a lot of that information, if you're not communicating it clearly and concisely in there, if we see something and we see that it's missing, we'll make that phone call to say, hey, you missed this, and can you revamp your resume and put it in there? And you have to think that sometimes when we're reading these resumes, we're human and sometimes we're fallible. So you have to make it as simple and easy as possible. Yes, we have a lot of vocabulary words that we can use to make it sound really pretty, but make sure you understand that that person on the other side of that screen is understanding that thought, it's clear and it's concise. Okay. So applying for the job here, right? We're going to start the next topic now we're going to move into is that cover letter. And why is it important to us? The cover letter is important to us because yes, there is a certain number of pages, 2 to 3 or 3 to 4 pages, depending on how long you've been in industry, that we look for a resume. And the cover letter is not limited to any amount of pages with us. So for consideration, we want you to put your resume cover letter together like this. And some jobs will call it out specifically saying notes to applicants. You have to read below the desired skills, below the education area, below everything else, and find where it says notes to applicants. Because if you think about it, if you're not reading the entire job ad itself, right, you may be missing key information. And then that is a further indication to us, depending on what position it is that you're going for, that could be a part of our screening process. Are you following instructions as they are written in the job ad to provide us with this information that we require you to provide us? So if it says a cover letter is required, make sure you do that. All right, so here it is, the cover letter. All right, you have your heading, your greetings and salutation, the company or name, the title of the location, and so on and so forth. For the most part, for any position that we have here, including the internships, I would say 98% of the time you'll see a name of who is that recruiter that's assigned to that position. It may be a recruiter, it could be the manager, it could be the HR generalist, and you would address your resume cover letter to them in this format as well. All right. Your opening paragraph, why should we hire you? I am the best thing since sliced bread, because we don't have to break bread no more, and it's more efficient when we slice the bread and you can put peanut butter and jelly on it, all that good stuff, right? So it's more efficient this way, all right? For each of the minimum requirements in that job ad, you need to, after your first paragraph, as you can see displayed here, you would need to paste that minimum requirement as it is written specifically. Do not change any verbiage in there. Yes, sometimes we do have grammatical errors, but please don't change it. Leave it the way it is. And then underneath each one, you'll create a space where you want to address them with enough information where you're explaining to the reader, myself, any one of the other recruiters, the manager or the HR generalist or our assistants, that you meet that minimum requirement. And this is why you want to do that. For each response, right? Education, certification, right? How did you get that experience? Or if you can provide a specific example that speak to that minimum requirement that we're looking for, that's even better, because now you have real world experience that talk specifically or speak to it directly. Utilizing qualitative and quantitative information, of course. How much, how many? That's huge. Even in your resume, you need to do that as well. You need to put those qualitative and quantitative information in there. You know, what's the impact of what it is that you're putting on paper? Is it just there to take up space, or is it there to convey a thought? That is going to make sure that you get that interview stating that I did this because I'm certified in this. That's what you need to do. So for every minimum requirement and desired skills, and sometimes you'll have those jobs that we were a little bit lazy about, and we put dual posting. So for the higher level and the lower level, you need to put the minimum requirements for both positions into that resume cover letter. Yes, your cover letter can be up to 6 pages. Mine, when I came here, was up to 6 pages. So you need to do that to adequately explain what it is that you're asking and to see that. Now, the reason why you put it this way is because once you apply for a position, your name is then populated on like an Excel document in our system. And then each of the minimum requirements and desired skills are on the left-hand side. It's easy for us to go over and say, hey, 1, 2, or 3. Where do you fall as far as that benchmark? Did you meet the minimum requirements that we're looking for here? And how do you score on each one of these to hit that benchmark to get the phone call? That's why you need to put it that way. If you put it all together and we try to glean that information, we may read into it and overread it, because I may be reading it early in the morning. I may be getting ready for lunch and rushing out. I may be getting ready to go to an office. We're fallible. Remember that. So you want to make it as simple, as easy as possible for that individual behind the screen not to make a mistake and miss something of yours that could get you qualified. And then once you have that, and that's not just for the minimum requirements, but also for the desired skills as well. Address them individually. So you're painting that picture once again in the mind's eye. And then a brief closing, thanking the hiring official for the consideration or the individual, and request that interview. Any questions yet? Oh, okay. There's something in the chat. Okay, all right, we can do that. All right, identify common skills, knowledge, abilities in your resume cover letter. All right, here's something. If, for example, and we're trying to phase away from this, it says demonstrate management experience. So you're applying for a position that is a manager position, and it says demonstrate management experience. You have to have experience as a manager doing that or accomplishing that or involved in that particular requirement that we're asking you for, and you have to write it. And this is an example of how you're going to put that to paper. I've successfully mentored 9 students and serve as a project leader, including oversights and budget, participating in the selection and performance management of team members. Additionally, I will be completing a master's in business administration. These are all great ways to say that, yes, I know how to deal with different personalities and employ those skill set that they have to put them as a cohesive team to produce a product or a service that is beneficial to the organization. And that's exactly what a manager do. And that's how you have to say that you demonstrate that. And here's an example of that. Once again, yes, you will have a copy of this to get from Bruno once I finish with the presentation here. Uh-oh, what happened? There we go. So if you're selected for an interview, you need to prepare for that. All right. And how do you prepare for that interview? You leverage information throughout the interview. All right, we're going to ask you about previous experiences and such, but preparing for the interview is easy. you will see on that job that you apply for that it has an organization already that you're going to be applying to for that position. You can take that information and plug it into our search bar and find out information about that organization. And then you want to talk about during the interview, make sure during the interview, you do have at least 3 questions, right? And even if they covered something about one of your questions, at the end of the interview and say, we're gonna ask you and say, do you have any questions for us? And yes, I have 3 questions for you, but you did answer one of my questions already, and I'll just ask you the other 2. All right. So it could be simple and mundane as what is the work environment like, or what are working hours like, how big is the team? What does the team dynamics look like? What is the organizational structure, or what is the organizational hierarchy? And in 5 years, where do you see me within your team? So you are, pushing that management staff or that hiring committee to so put some serious forethought into thinking about you as a strategic hire, because you're thinking about strategically where you want to be with the company, right? Now, here's another reason, another area. Express why you want a job. Yes, we all have bills to pay. We understand that. It's a common thread about everybody. We all have bills to pay. But why is this job important to you? Why is the mission of the laboratory important to you? How do you fit within the mission of the laboratory and the job that you're doing? Because it's not just, doing the job and you're going to be there. You want to have some kind of fulfillment from it as well. And yes, sometimes it's not, you won't get that full fulfillment of it, So just be honest and open, other than I really need a job or the benefits are great. We see that a lot. So that's why we put it out there. So, you just want to contribute something to the national defense of the country, or I want to contribute to the team, or I want to expand my experience, or I want to share the knowledge that I have with individuals to be more effective, doing the work that we do here. Those are some ideas. So you definitely have to prepare for it. Now, we use the STAR pattern, or sorry, not the STAR pattern. That's how you put a tire on a car. We use the STAR method. We use the STAR method when we do interviews. So once you go ahead and review the STAR method, and you talk about yourself in the professional light, you won't have any problem. There's also the PAR method as well, and how to do an interview, and they both parallel each other. One just have a little bit more steps, which is the STAR, then the PAR, problem, action, results. Problem, what is the problem that you encountered? And you will have one of these questions, tell me about a time when you had a difficult employee or a coworker, and that's the problem. What was the action that you took, and how was the result, and what happened with the results? It could be about you, a deficiency that you have, or the best qualities about yourself. These are things that you need to prepare for during the interview, or before the interview, not during the interview, sorry. Okay. Like I mentioned, honestly discuss your strength and weakness, and avoid cliches like I'm a perfectionist. All right, and be as transparent as possible, please. Those cliche remarks, I'm a perfectionist, and that's my greatest weakness. It tends not to bode well for the interview process. It lets us know that you're not definitely being genuine and transparent and open and honest with us. And with getting a clearance, a security clearance here, honesty is very important as far as safety and security of the information and the tools and technologies that we use here for national defense. All right. So I did mention that you should ask questions during the interview or after the interview. Is there anything that we haven't answered to your satisfaction? You can always go back and revisit them and chat about them clearly when they do explain what it is that we're asking you to do. Because I know some of these job ads are very vague in nature, and they have to be for us not to violate any security protocols. However, during the interview process, we can mitigate and minimize the amount of information being conveyed rather than on an electronic board, sending it out to the vast masses. We can convey that to you verbally and saying, this is what you'll be doing. You'll be working in an environment where certain shapes and certain sizes of how we craft materials are classified. So stuff like that. All right. And definitely express an interest and a passion. All right. No questions so far? Are we still good? Okay. Moving right along. how to apply as the external candidate. Some of you are probably familiar with our system already and may have applied, but I would encourage you to go inside our system once more and make sure that you do have all the contact information. Because I was just in a meeting a few hours ago, earlier this morning. Great candidate, however, phone number is not working, email address, no one's responding, and we can't make an offer. So make sure that whenever you do put that information in there, in our system, it is the correct information, because we all have several email addresses that we don't check any longer, or phone numbers that we don't remember that we did use. Okay, there's several ways to use our website when searching for a job. You can use the keyword search right here, and you can see any of the over 600 positions that we have available, both in internships and full-time positions. Sorry, we do not have any part-time positions at this time. And you can also separate them by pressing the plus sign over here, and you can filter them by category as well, or by state, which our jobs usually fall within 2 states. Not a lot of our positions will be outside of New Mexico. They will all be here, either at Mercury, Nevada, which is our Las Vegas site in in Nevada, or you may find a onesies and twosies, Hawaii, Carlsbad, New Mexico, or in California with a partner lab. Now with keyword search, right? It's real quick and easy how to use this. Let's say you have a background with Linux and you're looking for some kind of computer job, or you have an admin background. You want to type in those keywords that are not commonly used within the scope of that job and put it in there. Because if you type in a word like nuclear, all the jobs are going to show up, because we write nuclear in everything, because it's a national laboratory that deals with nuclear material. So somewhere in a job ad, every one of them, likely, there's going to be nuclear. So you want to look for those searches. And to drill down even further, what you want to do is sometimes you could put parentheses around the word that you type, and that was like using it like a Boolean search somewhat, and drill down deeper so you can always pick up those specific jobs that you're looking for. Okay, then you just hit the apply when you find it. So you type in work control planner, here it is. And you have a lot of background in it, and it's going to be with RULOB. RULOB is our radiological area of the laboratory that you can work with nuclear material. And that location also offers a bonus that's been instated this year for $6,000 environmental bonus. So it's a great place to work. You just hit apply. It will take you to our applicant tracking system, ATS, right? And this is how it is. Now, all you have to do is click apply. And if you already have your profile already established, you just log back in and just follow the process as is depicted on your screen. Okay, so you just add the job, you hit next, you add the job to your basket. Once the job is added to your basket, all you have to do is that crafted resume cover letter that you've just got some great information about on how to put it together properly. You upload that and your resume and just hit next. Now, if you have applied, let me back up a little bit. If you have applied for more than one position, I would encourage you to save the resume first with the job ID number, right? Let me back up and see if it has it here. Okay, here's the job ID number. You can see this right here. You want to save it as IRC 84553, your last name, and then resume. Then your cover letter, same thing, IRC 84553, your last name, resume, cover letter. You want to make sure that that team grabs the right resume and the right or the correct cover letter for the position that you want to be interviewed for. If you have a lot of resumes and cover letters in there and they're not labeled this way, they may be a way, there's a way for us to make a mistake. It may happen. So let's reduce and mitigate that opportunity for that mistake, for them to grab the resume cover letter. Okay. All right. So let's get back to where we are. So if for some reason you have some problems and you can't get into your account and you're locked out, you can email us at applyhelp@lanl.gov, lanl.gov, or you can call us at 505-665-4444 and choose option 1. You will get someone to talk to within, I would say, less than 10 minutes. Okay. Now, I'm just going to briefly browse over this one because just to give you some insight, the laboratory spends a lot of money for someone like myself and the other recruiters, all 16 of us, 17 now, to see your resume, your profile that you place on LinkedIn, right? We are actually the paid portion of that. You are the merchandise, so to speak, and we are the customers for LinkedIn. So we want to see who's out there and do you have the skill set that we're looking for. Whenever someone from LinkedIn touch your profile, you can see that someone viewed your profile. But as recruiters, we have what is called a recruiter seat, and we can put in keyword searches for key skills that we're looking for. So the more information about your skill set, your professional experiences, similar to your resume, not your resume, similar to your resume, is best that you put in here to get the desired results that you want, for someone to connect with you, to say, hey, I have a position, would you be interested? Or I have a position and your skill set looks very well, mated or matched with it, and we would like to have a conversation with you. All right. Now, as you can tell, this gentleman here, he has a profile photo, and his profile photo doesn't have anything in the background distracting. You want to make sure that if you do have a profile photo, which it shows that 80% of candidates get more responses that have a profile photo, you want to make sure that profile background doesn't have any distracting. They want to see who you are. And then you can also set up your background as well over there for your page. So we all are moving to the digital world, and with pictures and medias and videos and anything like that, projects that you worked on, anything that will draw the eye in or catch those professional, or that speaks to your professional background, I would recommend that you put it there. You have a picture with your team and you working together, everyone is all smiles, no frowny faces. I would recommend that you do put those in those areas for those experience or where you worked at. You want an award, you can also link that award inside that particular area of your experience for that previous position that you had, and that further reinforce the information that us recruiters go out there and scroll the internet through to find anything else about you from Bing, Facebook, Twitter, and YouTube, and so forth. So I would encourage you to look at your digital footprint online and make sure it is as professional as possible. All right, so your profile is complete. All right, it's looking professional as much as possible that you can do, and then you check out, and to get you some more experience, to get more touch points to you, I would say take a look at interest. Let's say you're part of an engineering group, you want to join those engineering groups on LinkedIn. There are different groups, and we reach out to those groups as well too, for them to pass the word to say, hey, we're looking for this particular skill set. Alma maters are great ones as well that you can join on the industry relevant information that is going to make your profile stand out and stand apart from everyone else. Just more ways for us to find you, connect with you, and say, hey, we're interested. Are you interested in us? Remember, it's a branding effort here. You are trying to sell as much as possible. Okay. Do I have any questions? Nope. All right. I'm going to go ahead and stop sharing my, screen here with you.
There actually is a question in the chat box about GPAs.
Let me open up the chat. Oh, okay. Yes, if you're a student and you're going for an internship, or you just don't have enough experience on your resume as far as you working in a position that you're going for, I would highly encourage you, yes, to include your GPA from your the best GPA that you have, of course, your GPA that is factual on the resume. It does help. Any other questions? We can't hear you, sir. You're muted.
Hey.
Yep, there you go.
Yes, I was testing my mic. Sorry, but yeah, I have a question. I think it will be an easy one for you, honestly. But if you could put in a level of importance, what will be the level of importance of the resume and the cover letter? Like, it will be 50-50, it will be 60-40. How you think about it?
That's a very good question. Some positions won't call it out. So if you look at the job ad, right? Let me pull up a job ad here real quick for everyone to take a look at, and I can talk you through this. I'll get rid of LinkedIn. Maximize. Okay. Uh-oh. There we go. All right, sharing my screen with you once again. Which screen? Oh, wow, there's a lot. Sorry, I have a lot of screens open. There it is. All right, so here it is. Here's the website. And let me just look up one of my jobs that I have available. Sorry, we have the fastest computers around here, but not mine. All right, so let's look at this one is easy to get into. Anyone right now can get into this position. So let's look at this one right here. And it's pretty much an entry-level position. It is an entry-level position. And because it's level 1 and level 2, those we consider those entry-level positions. Level 3 and 4 are mid-career, and 5 and 6 are senior level positions. So with this position, you'll see the minimum requirements as I mentioned, and what we're looking for as far as the experience. Then the desired skills. You'll see this, that it says notes to applicants. So with this one, right, it's not calling that out that it's important, but somewhere on your resume, you need to highlight that you do have and did complete algebraic operations, right? So there's one example where it doesn't call it out. Now here's an example where it's calling specifically that out, which is a mid-career and entry-level position here, right? I wrote this one and I don't have it in there. Let me back out of it. I also wrote this one. Let's see here. What's going on? Nope. I got one. Don't worry. I'm with it. This is a manager position, right? Notes to applicants. Here it is. Along with your resume, please include a detailed resume cover letter explaining how each of the minimum requirements you meet, right? So to get to your root of your question, Bruno, how important it is, it all depends on if the job ad is calling it out, all right? It would dictate the importance. It would be 50-50 to answer your question. So it is imperative that you don't just read the minimum requirements, what we're asking for here, right? And then the education, yes, a bachelor's degree and 5 years minimum experience for this management position. But it's imperative that you go down and look at the desired skills as well, like I mentioned in the presentation, and see what else we're asking for, right? And what else is out there for you to do to follow the instructions properly, right? Does that answer your question, sir?
Yeah, thank you so much.
Okay, next question. And if we have anyone that's here that's RCT, I am your RCT recruiter. So if you need to know anything else about the RCT or the health physicist side of the house, that is my primary function. I'm in the nuclear safety side of things for the laboratory as when it comes to recruiting.
Actually, I have another questions is nobody will go. That's a common question, I guess.
Yeah.
And I think it will be, like I said, an easy answer, and I already expect the answer. But as an international student, I'm pretty sure that there are no like positions available for internationals. Is it right?
No, for international students, the only way that we can employ you would be as an internship. But for full-time positions, you're going to see, and with all of my positions, they're going to require you to have a top secret clearance. And it clearly states on every position that I have out there for all RCT positions as well, because you will be accessing some of the most classified information out there, seeing certain processes, shapes that are classified, and how we put together nuclear warheads. So you have to be a US citizen for that. However, if we go to, let me go back to share my screen again. And it's this one. Okay, perfect. If we look for an internship position, right, you just type in internship, it starts pulling up all those internships that are out there. And let's say we have an undergraduate internship, a computational science internship. I don't think this one requires a US citizenship, because it's not going to ask you for a clearance. Let's do engineering. I like engineering. This one doesn't require it, but US citizenship, many positions do require that clearance. So that's a horrible example right there of one.
Would you think like more in the business side of it would require
Yes.
less?
Yes, the business side of it won't require as much clearances, but for certain areas where you work in business as a full-time, but as an undergraduate intern, no, you may not have that requirement. But the physical science, the engineering, there's a lot of engineering projects that we work on here that closely relates to the manufacturing process of exotic material at the laboratory that would require such clearances. Trying to find one that doesn't, or the business internship. I'll just hit internship. Does that answer your question, sir?
He actually surprised me. Yeah, because I have some friends. I mean, I'm international. We have some friends that they are thinking about it, and I will let them know for sure about like at least the internship, and I think will be great for them.
Yep. So here you go. Here's this one. This one is the comptroller's office, like you mentioned, business, and no clearance for this position. It doesn't require that. Selects account. You'll be subjected though to a drug and other pre-employment checks because we are a federal contractor. And what I'm getting to is you may take some CBD oil. You may have medical marijuana card. It is not acceptable, and it will preclude you from working at the laboratory if that is the case. So on a federal level, those items are still illegal. So hopefully I answer another question that may have been out there.
And I see Sarah posted another question in the chat.
Okay. All right. Yes. Thank you, Sarah. I did mention that, when you want to distinguish your resumes and cover letters for different positions that you're applying for, like you apply for 3 positions, each one of those have their own unique IRC number, or the job vacancy number, commonly called. Make sure that you label it with the IRC number, your last name, and what it is, cover letter or resume cover letter. And in some cases, for some positions, like the internships, they will call for your transcripts. Please do not email the transcripts to us. There is some information that we consider PII on there. Just upload it in our system. It's a secure way to make sure that you are not compromised.
And Sarah, I don't know if you just answered this. I apologize if I'm asking a question that was just answered, but she says, do you address the cover letter to the person, to HR person listed? So, I've seen the advertisements for positions before, and it'll usually have a person's name in the advertisement. Would you address the letter to that person?
Yes,
Okay.
correct.
Okay.
And that's another reason why we do that. We know a lot of organizations most times don't. It's a 50-50 hit or miss. Don't put information, a contact name or email address out, but we do. We want to try to connect with as much people as possible. And if we do see that there's talent there and, it's not articulated correctly, who's calling you, or you can reach out to us and email us and say, hey, now that I've completed the application process, what is the next step? It's another way to be a little bit more humanistic and humanize the process instead of making it a completely sterile, event.
I have one more question, and this is actually for Bruno and Sarah. I personally have applied to Lanl before, and I see that I see a lot of our students are on here, and I know it's a strenuous process. You really need to include a lot of information, and there's certain structure that you already went through, Junior. So I'm wondering, like, once a student has their resume and their cover letter done, could they take it to Career Services office for somebody to look over?
Yeah, definitely. Definitely we can help on with that. We're also planning on have like workshops like in person next semester. So we invite someone like Junior or someone from the HR team so they can come and then they can like take a look and then give some feedback on it.
Oh, that'll be
But
nice.
we're planning on it.
That's helpful. Thanks.
Hey Bruno, let me just add real quick because also Christy, not only to review, but one of our plans in the CSO is to help the student to do the resume if the student is finding like difficulties, don't know where to start, don't know what to put. This is one of the services that we want to offer for the students.
Nice.
Good information. Thanks.
Okay, Bruno, I think that's all the questions we have coming up. Sarah, do you have any more questions for us?
Yeah, I'm pretty sure the students will get in contact with us. If you guys have any other questions to Junior, you can email the students. What is the email again? Sorry about that.
I think it's student jobs.
Yeah, exactly. Student jobs at nmc.edu. And yeah, you can email us and I'll forward to Junior so you can answer that. Also, Junior just put his office phone number in the chat, mobile, and also his email so you guys can reach out to him directly. And I guess let me think if I have one more question. I think if I have another, I will email you for sure.
Okay.
But thank you
All
so much, everyone, for being here. Especially thank you, Junior, for putting this presentation together. And I'm pretty sure Leno is the biggest. I talked with the department chairs at the school, and then Leno is the biggest employer at Northern. So thank you so much. Thanks so much for your presence here, and thank you for this presentation.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you,
Thank you.
Junior. Thanks, everyone.
Thank you,
Bye.
everyone. Bye.